Now that we know variables and data types in Python, let's see how we can print different text on screen. We will also see how we can collect user input in this video. If we have any variable, we can print its value using print function. There is nothing new in this one. We have already seen this in the last video as well. So here, if I have this name variable, I can print it using print function. If I want to join two strings, I can join them using plus operator. This operation is known as string concatenation in programming. So here, even I can replace this string with a name variable. Similarly, if I have age variable defined like this, I can join it with string data type and create a long string like my name is Pratik and my age is 25. That's what I want to print, and I can write something like this. But if I run this code, you can see that it throws type error. It says can only concatenate string to string and not int. In this case, we have passed age, which is integer variable. So it is saying that age cannot be concatenated with string data type. That's why it throws this error. We can convert age data type, which is in the integer, to string. We know how to do that using stir function. So if I wrap this age variable in the stir function, and if I run this code, you can see that it correctly prints the result. I can also print multiple values in the same print function. I can pass multiple values and it will print both of the values by separating them using space. Historically, in Python, we could write string in multiple ways. There used to be Printf style formatting, which was derived from the C language. If you have ever worked with C language, you might be aware of this style of string formatting. In this, you can use some kind of format specifier, which will be replaced by some value when you run that code. So if I want to print the same kind of statement as we did earlier on, I can write something like my name is %s and my age is %d. This %s and %d are called format specifier, and there are many other format specifiers which could be included in any text. So the value we are going to insert are denoted by the % operator. We can specify name and age here, and it will be inserted into this %s and %d format specifiers. So if I run this code, you can see that it prints the same kind of output. Similarly, if age was floating point number, in that case, we could specify %f. But this prints the age in ugly looking number. It doesn't really look like age. If we want to display only one number after the decimal point, then we can format that using %.1f. If I run this code, it will print only one digit after the decimal point. Now Python 3 introduced a new format method on string data type. This was even easier way to format your string. Instead of memorizing all the format specifiers, we could simply use curly braces as the placeholder, and the value we want to insert will be passed as arguments of the format method. Let's take a simple example. Here I want to print my name is Alex and I'm 24 years old. To write that, I have written this text and I have inserted these two curly braces, which will be replaced by some value. So here I can write dot format and I can pass the value I want to insert in parameter list. So first value is going to be Alex and the second value is going to be 24. If I run this, you can see that it correctly prints my name is Alex and I am 24 years old. I could also specify the numbers inside these placeholders. So here if I specify 0 and in this age I specify 1, then the arguments we pass will be inserted in sequence. So the Alex value will go inside this 0th placeholder and age of 24 will be inserted into this placeholder. Let's run and verify. If I want to write something like I'm just 24 years old and my name is Alex, in that case, I can simply reverse the numbers here. So the first placeholder has to be age, so I write 1 here, and the second placeholder has to be the name, so I write 0 here, and in the format method I specify the same arguments as I did earlier, Alex and 24. You can see that the first value is inserted into this 0th placeholder. There is another way which will make it even easier. We don't even have to remember this indexing and we don't have to care about this positioning of the arguments. We can simply write the variable name here. For example, here for these two placeholders, I can replace this 0 with name because I want to insert name here, and the second one with age. Now in the format method, I can specify those two values as keyword arguments. So name equals Alex and age equals 24. So this name variable will go inside this name placeholder and age variable will go inside this age placeholder. If I run this code, you can see it correctly prints the output. That's fine, but can we do the same kind of formatting that we were able to do with printf style formatting? So let's try. If I specify price to be 99.99999, if I want to print output with only 2 decimal points, then in that case I can use the same kind of format specifiers. So here I can write I just bought $0 worth video games and I pass the value price into it. If I run this, it will print this ugly looking price value. If I want to format that, I can use the same kind of formatting. For formatting, I can write colon and point to F. It will display only 2 digits after the decimal point. If I run this code, you can see that it rounds the value to only 2 decimal digits and prints those values. I can also do this with keyword arguments. So if I replace this 0 placeholder with price and I replace the argument to be keyword arguments, it displays the same output. There is third way as well, which has become very popular. This was introduced in the Python version 3.6. So if you are using any Python version which is above 3.6, then you can use string interpolation using f strings. If I define name as Alex, then if I want to print this name, I can use f and then I specify the string that I want to print. I want to print my name is Alex. So instead of this Alex, I can place a curly brace and the variable name. This variable name will be replaced by the value of the variable. So if I run this code, it prints my name is Alex. Similarly, if I want to print age as well, then I can include age variable, and here I can modify this string. My name is Alex and I am 22. If you run this, it will print the output correctly. We can also format the floating point numbers like we did earlier. That's all the three methods we can use to print different string output. If you want to collect user input, you can use input function. Input function takes a prompt which will be displayed to the user, and user can insert some value and press enter. So here if I write name equals input, and as a prompt I write enter your name. Now I can greet this person using hello name. If I run this code, you can see that it displays this box. We have to enter some value into it, and then only it will go ahead and execute the code. If I enter the value Alex, it prints hello Alex. So let's take age variable as well. Age, what's your age? And below it, I want to print name and age using this string. If I run this code, you can see that it prints correctly. But let's say if I want to print the age after 1 year. In that case, I can calculate the age after 1 year like this. Here, I want to print Alex's age after 1 year. If I run this code, you can see that it throws an error. It's a type error, and it says it's an error on this specific line. So what's wrong here? We would assume that age is integer, but whenever you collect input using input function, that value is collected as string data type. In this case, you have to convert this age into integer data type, and then only you can add 1 to it. So if I wrap this age in int function, and then if I run this code, everything works perfectly fine. Now there is one more thing I would like to mention before we end this video. In Python, there is an escape character. In Python, escape character is backslash. If we use \n, it's considered as a new line in Python. This is called escape sequence. Similarly, we can use \t for tab. If I want to write a multi-line string, I can write something like this. In this case, you can see all the \n is replaced by new line. Similarly, if I want to write single slash in my string, I have to escape that using another backslash. Also, sometimes we may need to include double quotes in our string. For example, this text is using double quotes. In that case, I cannot easily use double quotes to specify this string. But if I wrap this complete text in a single quote, then it works perfectly fine. But there is another way. You can escape this inner double quotes using backslash. If I run this code, it works perfectly fine. So those are escape sequences. In this video, we saw how we can collect user input using input function, and how we can print different kinds of string using print function. We also looked at escape character and escape sequences.